All right, my beautiful, fiery Aries souls, gather close. Welcome back to Astrology Unlocked, where we unlock the grand secrets of the cosmos, especially for you, the trailblazers of the zodiac. Are you ready to hear something that will set your very soul on fire? Because I need you to listen with your whole heart. Have you ever felt like you've been running a race with your feet stuck in cosmic mud, like your blessings were always just over the next hill, a hill you were tirelessly climbing while others seemed to be soaring? Has your warrior heart grown weary, not from the fight, but from the relentless maddening waiting for the battle to truly begin? What if I told you that nothing was a mistake, that what felt like a cosmic rejection was actually a divine redirection? The quiet truth, my magnificent Aries, is that 2026 is not about a sudden stroke of luck or a random victory. Oh no, it is about a profound and spectacular alignment. This is the moment your soul, tempered and refined, finally meets the destiny that heaven has been preparing for you all along. In part one of our journey today, we will begin by understanding why the universe pressed pause on the most impatient sign of the zodiac and why that sacred period of waiting is finally gloriously coming to an end. Aries, before we dive in, I want to thank you for being here. Not everyone would have stayed in the fight this long. Not every fire would still be burning after facing so much resistance. If you are here, it's not because you're stubborn, it's because the divine spark within you, your truest essence, has refused to be extinguished. If your warrior heart is screaming yes to this, then do me a huge favor right now. Smash that like button to send a shockwave of positive energy into the cosmos, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to Astrology Unlocked. We are building a community of cosmic warriors here, and I don't want you to miss a single update. And in the comments below, let me know you're ready to claim your victory by typing, "I am ready for my divine alignment." Now let me ask you something, warrior soul, and I want you to be truly honest with yourself. How long have you been waiting for your life to finally catch fire? I don't mean waiting in a passive way. That's not your style. I mean waiting in the way only an Aries knows, how impatiently, restlessly pacing inside a cage of circumstances, revving your engine with nowhere to go. You've been carrying the torch of your ambition through a long, dark tunnel, believing in a light you couldn't yet see. There were times you didn't just stop believing because you were weak. You stopped believing because you had pushed so hard for so long that the belief itself felt like it had burned out in your hands. That's not a failure of your spirit, my friend. That is what happens when a fiery soul is asked to hold its own light in the dark longer than most hearts are designed to endure. You trusted in promises that felt like a jolt of lightning in your chest. You followed signs that weren't whispers, but roaring affirmations that you were on the right path. You told yourself, just one more push, just one more try, more times than you can count. And while the seasons changed and life tried to reshape you, tried to cool your fire and temper your magnificent certainty, the outer world seemed strangely, stubbornly resistant to your will. The doors you charged at remained locked. The mountains you tried to move stood firm. Somewhere on this journey, without a conscious choice, the question burning inside you began to shift. It was no longer, "When will I break through?" It became something quieter, more dangerous, a question that felt like a betrayal to your very nature. Was I ever meant to win at all? You never dared to ask this question out loud. You asked it in the dead of night, when the fire of your day had dwindled to embers and the silence was too loud. You asked it while watching others, seemingly with half your drive, achieve their goals and celebrate their victories, while your own life felt like a powerful engine stuck in neutral. You asked it while you continued to lead, to inspire, to fight for others, even as the battlefield of your own inner world felt desolate and empty. At some point, the waiting stopped feeling like a noble challenge. It began to feel deeply personal. Not because the universe turned its back on you, but because the silence started to feel like a judgment on your power. And perhaps the deepest wound was not simply that things hadn't changed. It was that they hadn't changed after you did everything you knew how to do. You were brave, you were bold, you took the risks, you refused to surrender, you refused to let your heart grow cold. So naturally, another question began to smolder beneath the surface of your days. One you may have been terrified to even acknowledge. Did the universe forget about me? Is victory reserved for other people, for more strategic souls, for those who seem to play the game better than I do? Aries, if these thoughts have ever blazed through your mind, even for a fleeting moment, they do not disqualify you from your destiny. In fact, they reveal the depth of your passion, the sincerity of your ambition, and the honesty with which you have fought to trust in your own power. And this right here is where our story must take a powerful turn, not towards blame, but towards a sacred remembrance. In the language of the cosmos, delay is not denial. For a warrior, delay is training. This isn't some poetic phrase to soothe your frustration. It is a spiritual principle, a cosmic pattern repeated across all of history, across all great legends, and across the very movements of the planets themselves. Those who are destined to lead with great fire are rarely rushed onto the battlefield. Think of the greatest warriors and leaders. They did not step into their power through a series of easy wins. They were forged in the desert of waiting, a place where raw impulse must be tempered into strategy, where arrogance is burned away, where the ego cannot survive. Joseph didn't rise to power through immediate recognition. He was shaped by betrayal and confinement, years of silence, where his character was forged into something far stronger than success alone could ever teach. King David was anointed long before he was crowned. He lived as if forgotten, not because the promise was false, but because the future king needed time to become strong enough to wield the power that was promised. The desert always comes before the promised land, not as a punishment, but as the ultimate training ground. If this pattern feels achingly familiar, it is because your life has been following this sacred blueprint. Aries, your waiting was not empty time. It was the cosmic forge. You were learning a strategic patience that could never be taught in the heat of victory. You were developing a leader's wisdom that could not be gained through effortless success. You were being strengthened where raw power alone would not be enough, and your fire was being contained where recklessness would later destroy you. Astrologically, Aries carries the spark of new beginnings. You are the sign that initiates, that breaks down the old to make way for the new. But a fire that is not contained and directed can burn itself out or cause unintended destruction. What others bypass with caution, you charge into head first. What others deliberate on, you act upon. This is your gift, but it is also why your process took longer. Not because you were being held back, but because your soul required mastery. Mastery is the divine alignment between the power you wield and the wisdom to wield it correctly. Until that alignment was achieved, your blessings didn't vanish. They hovered, held in reserve by a loving universe waiting for you. The cosmos does not rush what must be handled with immense power. There were opportunities you once craved that, had they arrived earlier, would have shattered you. Relationships that would have consumed your fire and left you as ash. Ventures that would have amplified your impulsiveness instead of building a lasting legacy. So the universe intervened not to deny your victory, but to protect your destiny. You were not ignored. You were being trained. Yes, there were moments the silence felt like a deafening roar. Moments your battle cries felt unanswered. Moments your own brilliant hope flickered and dimmed. But in the spiritual realm, silence is not absence. Silence is where the warrior becomes the general. It is where raw energy learns focus, where the nervous system learns to hold power without burning out, where the soul learns how to stay open and passionate without becoming reckless. Aries, you were learning how to wait without giving up, how to remain fiery without being destructive, how to trust your instincts without being impulsive. These are the lessons of a master, not a novice, and they are not learned overnight. And now, I want you to hear this, feel this in your bones. Without urgency, without force, but with the calm certainty of a rising sun, 26 is not another year of struggle. It is the year the role of the warrior in waiting dissolves. Something in the cosmic architecture of your life is shifting. Not because you finally kicked the door down, but because the training has reached its magnificent completion. The forge has cooled. The steel of your soul has been tempered. Your inner world has finally learned how to wield immense power with wisdom and grace. In the language of the cosmos, this is the moment where divine power meets divine readiness. This is not about getting a reward for your efforts. It is about stepping into a perfect alignment with the power that was always yours. And alignment feels different from raw ambition. It is calmer, more focused, less desperate. There is less pushing and more allowing, less fighting and more commanding. This is why the change doesn't arrive with a chaotic explosion, but with a powerful sense of inevitability. The feeling that something you have fought for so long is now simply rightfully yours. Aries, your waiting was not a mistake. It was your unseen training. And now, as this chapter of preparation closes, your soul no longer screams, "Why?" It begins to ask a new, more powerful question: how? How do I lead without carrying the posture of the struggle? How do I accept victory without bracing for the next fight? How do I step into this open field without looking for the next wall to break down? And in the next part of our journey, we will uncover exactly what was forged within you during this long season of fire, and why those very qualities are the undeniable proof that 2026 could not have arrived a single moment sooner. Aries, what if every single wall you hit was actually shaping you, not breaking you, not punishing you, not proving that you were too impulsive or too reckless for wanting things the way you did? What if every moment that felt like a defeat was in truth a masterclass your soul desperately needed before it could command a greater destiny? When you look back at your past, it's so easy to see only the battles you lost. You remember the ventures that failed, the risks that didn't pay off, the trust that was shattered. You remember the years of immense effort, the fiery energy you poured out, the heroic sacrifices you made, and how frustratingly little seemed to manifest in return. And slowly, almost unconsciously, your warrior mind formed a dangerous conclusion. I fought too hard. I wanted too much. I should have been less. Less you. Aries, this belief has been a shadow following you for years. It has shaped how you see your own magnificent power. It has made you question your own fire, as if your capacity for ambition were a flaw rather than your most sacred gift. You learned to look at your pain not as the cost of battle, but as a verdict on your worthiness to win. And that terrible misunderstanding has been a heavier burden than any external failure. But let us pause here with power and with grace. In cosmic truth, struggle is never random, and it is never, ever wasted. Pain is not a judgment on your strength. It is the very process of its formation. In the same way that intense pressure forges a diamond and the hottest fire tempers the strongest steel, the experiences that wounded your pride were also forging your inner structure. They were building something invisible, something indestructible, something that could not be rushed. You were not punished for wanting to win. You were being trained for a bigger victory. You were not defeated because you were foolish. You were being taught strategy. You were not burned out because you were weak. You were learning how to sustain your fire for a marathon, not just a sprint. In the language of the cosmos, God does not prepare a warrior like you for a small life. Some spirits are destined to charge ahead, to break new ground, to carry the torch of courage where others carry fear, and to ignite hope where others see only darkness. Aries, your fire was never meant to be extinguished. It was meant to be mastered. This is why your lessons were harder. This is why your failures stung more deeply. This is why your setbacks did not just hurt, they fundamentally changed you. Astrologically, Aries is the spark that ignites the entire zodiac. You are the first sign, the pioneer, the one that carries the raw, untamed energy of creation itself. Where other signs hesitate, you act. You do not learn by observing. You learn by doing, by clashing, by falling, and by rising again stronger each time. This is not a weakness. It is your divine calling. Every failed attempt honed your strategy. Every impulsive mistake deepened your wisdom. Every moment you felt alone in your ambition taught you how to rely on your own unshakable inner strength. This is how true leaders are formed, not in the safety of the classroom, but in the arena of lived experience. You may not have chosen this difficult path consciously. Most great leaders do not. They are forged by life until they carry a wisdom that is earned, not taught. They know the sting of defeat. They understand the loneliness of command. They know how to ignite hope in others even after their own has been tested by fire. And yes, there were countless moments you wished you could be different, less intense, less driven, less affected by the frustrating pace of the world. You may have looked at others who seemed content with a slower, safer life and wondered why the universe didn't grant you that kind of peace. But peace does not create a pioneer. Comfort does not forge a warrior. Avoidance does not create a leader. You were never meant to skim the surface of life, my friend. You were meant to charge into its very heart. This is why the universe did not hand you easy victories. Not because it was indifferent to your desires, but because it was so deeply attentive to your destiny. It was shaping your capacity to lead, so that when others come to you, you lost, afraid, lacking direction, your presence alone would feel like a call to courage. Your words would carry the weight of experience, not because they are perfect, but because they are forged in real fire. If your life has felt harder than most, it is because you are meant to carry a brighter torch. This truth may be difficult to fully embrace because it reframes everything you thought went wrong. It asks you to see your past not as a series of failures, but as your personal leadership curriculum. Each failed project, each challenging relationship, each moment of burning frustration was teaching you something specific: strategy, patience, self-respect, how to lead without ego, and how to fight for something without self-destruction. You did not learn these lessons perfectly. No warrior does. But you learned them in your bones. And now something profound begins to shift. There comes a moment in every warrior's journey when the training battles stop forming you and start preparing you for your true campaign. When the struggle is no longer about endurance, but about application. When your wisdom moves from being an internal shield to being an external sword. This is the threshold you are now approaching. The years ahead are not about reliving past defeats or proving your worth. They are about using what you have become. This is the difference between struggle that wounds and struggle that matures a leader. You are crossing that threshold. God does not train leaders by protecting them from the fight. He trains them by teaching them how to get back up after being knocked down without becoming bitter. He teaches them how to remain passionate without becoming reckless. He teaches them how to lead without losing themselves to the cause. Aries, you have been learning all of this for a very, very long time. And here is the quiet reassurance your soul needs to hear right now. If you did not carry a great capacity to lead, you would not have been given such a rigorous training. Small lives require small preparation. Ordinary paths require ordinary challenges. But you were never ever meant for an ordinary existence. Your past was not a mistake, it was your initiation. And as you begin to release the belief that you fought too hard or wanted too much, something new becomes possible. You begin to see that what you need is not less fire, but a more focused fire. Not less action, but wiser action. Not a surrendered heart, but a strategic one. This realization is not quiet. It arrives like a thunderclap of clarity, a truth that ignites your mind and settles in your very being. It brings relief. It brings forgiveness, not just towards others, but for every time you judged yourself for being too much. And as this forgiveness takes root, you begin to feel something unfamiliar but deeply empowering, a sense that your life was never derailed, a sense that no effort was wasted, a sense that every single experience, no matter how frustrating, was shaping you for a role that extends far beyond your own personal success. This is where your true purpose emerges. And in the next part of this journey, we will explore how this inner formation begins to translate into real, tangible change in the material world as your inner general finally becomes ready to command the outer opportunities that have been waiting for you all along. Of course, here is the continuation, maintaining the energetic style while moving through the core themes more concisely. Aries, let's talk about money, not as something to covet, but as the fuel for your fire. For years, your financial life has likely felt like a battlefield. You charge, you conquer, you earn, and then you burn through it all. Funding the next impulsive campaign or covering the cost of a battle you didn't need to fight. The universe didn't withhold resources from you because you were unworthy. It waited until you could command them without self-destructing. A warrior with unlimited resources but no strategy is a danger to themselves. In 2026, you stop living on a soldier's pay and start managing a commander's treasury. The shift is not a sudden windfall. It is a profound awakening to strategy. You begin to understand that discipline isn't a cage. It's the very armor that protects your legacy. You move from impulsive spending to strategic investment in yourself, your mission, and the empire you were always meant to build. And what of love? My fiery friend, you have never loved quietly. You love like a supernova, brilliant, hot, all-consuming explosion that can be breathtaking and often unsustainable. Your past is likely a trail of glorious beginnings that burned out too fast, leaving you frustrated and questioning if anyone could ever truly match your flame. The lesson for you was never about learning to love less, but about learning the difference between a conquest and an alliance. The sacred solitude you endured was teaching you to be a sovereign in your own right, so you would stop seeking someone to conquer or rescue. The love that approaches you in 2026 is different. It is not a prize to be won. It is your equal, a co-ruler who brings their own fire, their own kingdom, and who challenges you not to a fight, but to build a greater empire together. This love does not drain your fire, it amplifies it. Within your family, your home, your closest circles, you have always been the general, the one who charges in to fix every problem, fight every battle, and lead the charge, often growing deeply frustrated when others couldn't keep up with your pace. This role was exhausting, not because you gave too much emotionally, but because you took on every single fight as your own. But a true leader doesn't just win battles, they build other leaders. The monumental shift for you in 2026 is stepping back from the role of savior and into the role of the sovereign. You learn to empower others to fight their own battles. This is not abandonment. This is the highest form of leadership. As you release the need to control and fix everything, you create space for a tribe of equals where respect replaces dependence and your home becomes a true sanctuary of strength, not a battlefield you must constantly manage. Finally, Aries, we arrive at the heart of it all, your sacred purpose. For so long, you have been a warrior without a war. That feeling of restless frustration, of being a powerful engine stuck in neutral, that was the ache of a soul disconnected from its true mission. Your life was never meant to be about just getting by, about mere survival. That is a cage for a spirit like yours. In 2026, the cage door shatters. Your purpose arrives not as a gentle whisper, but as a deafening battle cry from the very core of your being. Every trial, every delay, every moment you were forged in the fire of waiting. It was all preparation for this. Your sensitivity was honed into a leader's intuition. Your impatience was tempered into strategic action. Your raw power was refined into unwavering command. The universe was not punishing you. It was training you for your true campaign. You are not here to live a small life. You are here to lead the charge. This year, 2026, is not about luck. It is your divine deployment. The training is over, magnificent Aries. It is time to pick up your banner, to ignite your fire, and to step into the role you were always meant to play. Your greatest victory is not on the horizon. It begins now. My dear magnificent Aries friends, we have reached the end of our journey for today, but it is truly just the beginning of yours. I want to pause and genuinely thank you for being here, for sharing your incredible energy, and for allowing me to be a small part of your powerful story. It is a true honor to hold this space for souls as bright and as brave as yours. If this message resonated deep within your warrior's heart, if it stirred the fire of recognition within you, please let that energy ripple out into the world. Like this video to anchor that intention and share it with another Aries soul who might be on the verge of their own breakthrough. Your support helps this channel, Astrology Unlocked, continue to be a beacon for those who are ready to claim their cosmic destiny. Thank you for your courage, thank you for your fire, and thank you for walking this path with me. Never forget the power you hold and the magnificent destiny you were forged for. Go forth and lead. I am endlessly excited to witness the incredible empires you are about to build. Until next time, stay fiery, stay brave, and know that the universe is cheering you on every step of the way.